Hey everyone, so today we're talking about sections 12.7 and 12.8 in your textbook, which are all about discount and tax, which I know we've talked about a little bit in class, but we're just going to go into a little bit more detail right now, hopefully pretty quick. I'm hoping like 5-6 minutes of your time. So make sure you're taking good notes. You don't need to write down everything exactly how I have it, but make sure your notes are understandable to you. So if you want to abbreviate, that's probably a good idea. But just make sure you can understand your notes. And then we'll go over this tomorrow in class together, or whenever I see you next for my light blue class. Or actually, I guess any of my classes. So with that, let's get started. So discount is a reduction of the price of an item, obviously, right? So if we're talking about an item that's discounted, we are going to reduce the price of an item. It's like it's on sale or something. And then tax is what a percent that's added to an item. So maybe you go out to eat at a restaurant and you see that there was a tax added, or you go shopping and there was tax added to that, or your parents are being taxed or paying their taxes. Tax is something that we hear all the time. So both really useful things that you see all the time and good to know. And I know we've done some mental math with it, but let's look at some math that might not be as easily done in our head, and just so we can get a formal way of writing this down. Okay, so if we're looking at discount, we want to find the discount of a shirt that's $25 and it's on sale for 15% off. We can think of that as 15% of $25. We want to know what that percent of that total shirt is. And we can think, when we're thinking of 15% of $25, we know in our head that of is that word that means multiply. So we can really say our discount is equal to 0.15 times 25. And our 0.15 came from converting our percentage over here to our decimal over here. And then we just do the math. So let's see what that looks like. So we can see that our discount is equal to $3.75. Now, common sense tells us that we're not going to pay $3.75 for this $25 shirt when it's only 15% off. But we have now found the discount of that shirt, so what we get to take off. This is not the final price. We'll talk about that in a minute. But first, let's jump to tax. So if we're finding the tax of maybe a shirt that's $25 and it has a tax of 7%, we can again think of that as 7% of the cost of that shirt. So 7% of $25. And then we would say our tax is equal to 0.07 times 25. And again, that 0.07 came from moving our decimal over twice when we are converting our percent to a decimal. So let's try and do the math for that really quick and see what we get. So we can see after we do the multiplication that our tax would be $1.75. All right, so we see, and that makes sense. 7% of 25 should be less than 15% of $25. So we're able to find the discount of a $25 shirt and the tax of a $25 shirt. But that does not tell us what we're paying. So if we wanted to figure out what we were paying, we would need to actually calculate the final price, or if we're talking about the discount, the sale price. So we would subtract the discount from the list price. So whatever that item was, so our shirt that was $25, we would take away the discount, right? We would take away that $3.75 that we figured out the tax or the sale price would be. And we can see that our total cost in the end, after taking away that sale that we had, that 15% off price or discount that we had, we would have $21.25 left to pay for that shirt. So 15% is not huge, but it's still a good discount when it's a $25 shirt. That's almost $4 off. Okay, so let's look at the other side of it now. Let's look at the tax side. So tax is the opposite. With the discount, we wanted to take away, right? We're taking off some value. That's why it's on sale. You're not going to add price if it's on sale, or add money if it's on sale. Tax, we want to add money to it, right? You're adding some extra cost to it. So we would take the tax and add it to the list price. So before, when we found our 7% tax on our $25 shirt, we would need to add that $1.75 to our $25, and we would get $26.75. So again, not a huge difference, but there is a difference. So we want to make sure we know the difference between our final price and what the tax was, or the discounted price was. All these words are slightly different, but they're all asking for different things. So just make sure you're understanding the difference between a discounted price, a tax, and then your final cost that you're spending. Now, these are really nice numbers, but numbers also don't always work out perfectly like that. So say you have a 6.5% tax on $14.50. If you were to multiply that, you would see that $14.50 times 0.065, after we move the decimal over twice, would get us 2.6975. And that does not look like money, right? Money only has 2 decimal place values. So we want to make sure we're rounding this to the nearest hundredth. So our final price, when we make that 7 bump up the 9, here, let's write it down. So this 7 would make that 9 go up. So that 9 would become a 0, and bump that 6 up to a 7. So this would actually be $2.70, because we're talking about money. So not 2.7, 2.7D, because this is money, right? So just make sure your answer always looks like money, right? 2 decimal places. So money answers have 2 decimal places, not 3, not 1, not 8, 2. Not 2.5. Okay, and then some other things that we want to be careful of. If you need to buy more than one item, say we wanted to get 2 shirts, we want to make sure that we multiply 2 times our $25 times our tax. Okay, so it's not changing anything else. We're not taking the tax twice. We're just taking our tax off of a bigger value, off of $50 instead of $25. One last caution: if you have a discount and a tax, which is more real life, right? When you go to a store, you don't get a sale and then they're not going to tax you on it. You have a discount and a tax. We want to calculate the discount first. Okay, so first, it's underlined, bolded, highlighted, whatever, and then calculate the tax, and we're going to add it on at the end. So calculate our discount, subtract it off, then calculate our tax and add it on. All right, well, I know we didn't do a lot of examples in this, but I don't want to give you too much work tonight, because this was definitely a couple minutes longer than I thought it would be. So tomorrow when you come in, we'll go over some examples together, and come prepared with questions that you have for me. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night, and for those of you that are celebrating our holiday today, may the 4th be with you. Bye, guys.